So normally when we do this workshop, we're in a conference room, and I've got, people right in front of me, and we go around the room and ask where or do you live, what kind of work are you looking for, what's your previous occupation, those sorts of things, and start building our network right when we're in that conference room. Well, of course, now we can't do that. So if you want other folks on the workshop today, go ahead and type into everyone so that we can all see, if you'd like to, what kind of work you're looking for, where you live. Maybe someone on the call has a good idea for you or a connection of some sort. So I think that it will be interesting. We always have a connection made during this part of the workshop. So thank you, everyone, for typing that in. I love that. So if you have opportunities for folks, maybe you can figure out how to connect afterwards. So that's perfect. So before we get too far, while you're typing that in, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Rhonda. I work out of the Duluth Career Force location. Again, we are closed. We're open to email and phone call conversations, and we can help you with many different things that way. I've been here for about 10 years. Previously, I was in the travel industry, helping people plan their trips and vacations, and now I help people plan their next career, next occupation, if you will. Sheila, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning. This is Sheila, way up north in International Falls. I've been with Career Force for about 30 years. I have a background in business and education, so with the two, I kind of combine them and help the business side, employers, and the job seekers, so those two have worked really well together. I look forward to helping you today with some career planning information, and if you have any questions for me along the way, feel free to type them in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. So I'm going to start with a quote that I have had in my office for quite some time, and think about this when we do these workshops, because we don't have jobs, but we can give you the tools to get that job. So what my little sign says, there may be others who applied there who could have done the job better than you, but it's true today, and it will ever be true, the person who gets the job, who gets hired, is not necessarily the one who can do the job best, but the one who knows the most about how to get the job. So keep that in mind. Those are the things that we're going to go through as we go through these presentations, is to teach you how to get that job, okay? So let's get started. So this series is called Creative Job Search, and of course now more than ever, we as job seekers, career seekers, need to be creative in how we do this. There's a lot less, of course, face-to-face meeting with employers. In fact, we're having a job fair in Duluth in September, and it's actually going to be a drive-through job fair. There won't be any employers there, but we will have packets of information that we will hand to you as you drive past us. It's us trying to be creative on how we can connect with you. So look for those sorts of things in your area. Stay connected with your Career Force location. I'm not sure we'll want to do those in the winter, but in the fall we can certainly try and help out. So keep an eye on things that are going on in your area, creative ways to try and connect you with employers, because we are closed. We can't have hiring events in our locations at this point, so we need to be that. But we need to be creative because employers, they have so much on their minds. They need to make sure they have hand sanitizers and masks and everybody's 6 feet apart and all those different things. So we need to make this as easy for them as we can. They just have a lot going on. So the easier we can make this for them, the better. Things are changing on a daily basis, whether they can be open, whether they can't be open, whether they can, what capacity they can be at, all those different things. So a positive attitude to get through this. I know we've been locked in our houses for quite some time, but to have that great attitude and that go-get-'em kind of attitude is going to be what we need to focus on going forward. So it's important to set a game plan. Make a plan for how you're going to make that next move. Are you going to have to get into a new occupation because your previous occupation is the previous job is gone. Sad to say, that's happening all over. Or can you stay in the same career, the same industry, but need a new location to work, a new employer? And we're going to talk about how to research different careers so that if you do need to make a change, you have the tools that you need to make those changes and where you can get some good information, okay? So obviously, you're looking for work. Managing the stress of this is difficult. So A, you lost your job. B, you're locked in your house. Now the kids are at home. There you have to help them with their homework. And you can't go to the grocery store as often as you'd like to just to get out of the house. But this is a good time for you to think about some things that you can do to make this manageable, to get over the stress. Creating a schedule of some sort. You know, give yourself time to apply for jobs, do your research, help the kids with homework, get out and do those things. Maybe starting a budget if you need to. When you lose your job, your financial situation changes. You might want to keep track on that. It may be a bit before you get into a new career. You want to be sure that you can stay on track. But truly this impacts every part of our lives, our self-esteem, our identity. Some of us, our job was really who we are. At least we thought that. It's not all of you, definitely. Maybe it's part of your social life. Maybe those are the folks you hung out with after work. Maybe those are the people that you're on a baseball team together with, things like that. And it changes your family life, of course, because now you're home all the time and things like that. So it's right up there with, the stress of this is right up there with divorce or separation or loss of a loved one. That's how big this is. So we really need to remember to take care of ourselves. Your career was not the entire embodiment of who you are. You're more than that. You're still a mom, a dad, a grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, all of those things. But change is hard. Change is really, really hard. Some of us really resist change. But think of it as an opportunity as well to get into something new. Try something new you've never done before. Maybe it's time to get into the medical field or something like that. Maybe it's time to get into working for MnDOT, shoveling, you know, plowing highways and freeways, things like that. So be creative, be open to what is out there for you. And trust me, everyone has an opinion on how your job search should look. Some people get a new job right away and they can't understand why you're not working yet. So be sure that you have a filter on to some of those comments because that's their deal, that's not your situation. But some of the biggest mistakes that we can make as job seekers is listening to other people and taking to heart what they say. So maybe some people say that employers don't ever read cover letters, and you decide to never write one again, and that employer that you really want to work for, they love cover letters. And here you listen to Bill Smith and didn't send in a cover letter because it didn't work for him. Do what's right for you. Do what the employers are asking for. If they ask for a resume and cover letter, you send them both in. Maybe someone tells you that thank you notes are a waste of time. And again, maybe that's the one thing that that employer gets that pushes you into that yes pile. We really want to talk to this person, okay? So send a thank you note if that works for you. Or, you know, there's some people that say LinkedIn doesn't do anything. It doesn't work at all. Maybe it just didn't work for them. Maybe it would be a great tool for you. And throughout the course of these workshops, you will learn more about LinkedIn and how to use it. Thank you oh, someone just put out their LinkedIn address. I love it. But be sure that you use all the different tools that work for you. You know, and maybe take some inventory of what maybe has changed since you lost your last job. Maybe you've had more opportunities to volunteer. How does it make you feel being out of work? Are you happy? Maybe that last job was awful and you couldn't wait to get done with it anyway. Obviously, there's sad, there's angry, there's excited, there's all these different emotions. You know, what was lost? Financially, your seniority with your company because you've been there for 30 years and now you have to start over. That's not a comforting feeling. And that stability of having that job to go to every day. But there are opportunities that have come about because of this. maybe going to school and getting into that career you really wanted to, if we can help you with training again, reach out to your dislocated worker counselor. Maybe it's a good thing to get into a career change. But this is what your days or weeks look like. It's a kind of a roller coaster. So here at the very beginning, the news sinks in. Oh my gosh, my job is really gone. I can't even believe this. What am I going to do? And then there's some relief. There's some anger. There's some self-doubt. There's sadness. It's going to be tough. You've taken some action. Not much going on. First real possibilities. I mean, that's exciting. That's way up there, up at the top. So if you want to just put in the chat box, where are you on the roller coaster? And trust me, this is perfectly normal to have all of these feelings, to be going through all of this, because this is it's a really tough time. It's a really tough time. So it is perfectly normal to go through this. And really, it's important to learn from this and to identify when you're up and when you're down, and that will kind of help you figure out how can I always be on the upside a little bit more. Your attitude to get through this has the constant ups and downs, but taking charge of your attitude is going to give you strength. So looking at more possibilities, that's often. Yeah, all of the above at different times. Thank you. It is taking longer than expected. You're not the only one that has told us that, that's for sure. And again, employers are sort of on hold with a lot of this hiring, rehiring, that sort of thing, reevaluating their operation, if you will. So just think about where you are on there, and then just know that you need to recognize your feelings. This is a shock to your whole self for an awful lot of people. So some of the things have changed, of course, we talked about that already, but some things have stayed the same. So thank goodness. So be thankful for the good things that have stayed the same. But it's important to recognize your feelings as a normal part of overcoming this whole job loss process. So find a safe outlet. Find a way to deal with your feelings in a positive way. Maybe that's journaling, maybe writing down every day how you feel. So you can maybe see a pattern. What makes you feel good? Maybe the day after you went on that long hike, you have a better day than the days that you just sat in front of the computer. Maybe exercising, spending time with friends and family, those safe outlets that we can find. Forgiving your previous employer, forgiving coronavirus. We didn't ask for this, of course, but finding a way to move on. Maybe that's writing a letter, just a scathing, nasty letter to your former employer. Write a letter to coronavirus. Tell them how angry you are and how upset you are and how this is taking longer to get a job than you thought, all of those things. Just get it off your chest. You would never send a letter to anyone obviously coronavirus doesn't have an address, you can't send that, but to their previous employer. You would never send the letter, but it helps you get it off your chest if you journal, if you write it down, and then destroy that letter, burn it, chew it up, spit it out. That'll feel so good. But find a way to get those feelings off of your chest, because when you talk to an employer and you still have that chip on your shoulder, they might see it. They might feel it when you talk with them, and you certainly don't want that to happen. So let go of the past. Employers really want to know that you're ready to move on, and you have a choice to make every day in how you're going to handle that day. You're going to be positive or negative. But it's our emotional reaction and attitude that we use when deciding what to do next. To adapt to what's going on, you can resist the change and be in a holding pattern. But it's really up to you how you want to feel every day. You can choose to feel stronger. These are choices we can make. We don't have to leave this up to how the stars are aligned. These are things that we can have a choice. Feeling stronger, feeling energized, feeling really positive. You don't want to feel negative. Ask yourself some things in the morning. And again, part of this is maintaining structures and routines. But ask yourself in the morning, would I hire myself today? Am I the best version of myself today? Do I look okay, feel okay? Those sorts of things. And employers are going to really try and find out your true attitude with interview questions, like give me an example of how you deal with changes you don't like at work. Well, now we have to wear masks, and I really don't feel comfortable wearing a mask. Well, that's one thing you can't really control. Those are guidelines. But other things that go on at work, and how did you react to that? Why did you leave your last job? Tell me about a supervisor you didn't like. How are you going to answer those things? If you're still ticked off at them, they're going to hear it in your voice. They're going to see it in your body language. Okay, so just figure it out a way to let it go. Because when you talk to that next employer, have that next interview, that next networking opportunity, whatever it is, you've got one chance to make a good impression. One chance, and you want that to be the best it can be. You don't want to miss out on an opportunity because you are still upset. So do whatever you can to make yourself feel better that day. You know what? There are going to be days where you're going to have your crabby pants on, and you need to figure out how can you get the day through without having your crabby pants on. Maybe that's just the day you just stay home, hunker down, don't do any interviews, don't do any networking events because you're not going to be your best self. We all are going to have those days, and just give yourself credit for those because it is a rough time, certainly. So just keep your attitude in check. Trying to stay positive. Again, we kind of talked about this. Talking with others. Talking with others that have a positive attitude. Just keep in mind that negative attitudes attract negativity. So it goes without saying that positive attitudes, positive people are going to make you feel better. So that's all good. Coming to Job Club, coming to these sessions. There are other sessions in your area, so be sure to keep track of what's going on in your area through careerforcemn.com. Exercise, somebody just says exercise is energizing for me. I'm with you. I don't like the idea of getting out the door, but we do it. It feels good. I chose donuts and that sort of thing to make me feel better. Well, that's such a good plan. Now I really have to exercise. So be careful with your choices. Some people actually need some counseling to get through this because it is so devastating. Be sure to access those resources. Ask your local career force location or call. Up here, there's United Way 211, I think, everywhere, where you can or you can connect with some resources. Positive self-talk and positive affirmations are great. You can do this in your bathroom in the morning when you're getting up and dressed and ready to go. Just tell yourself that you are a good person. I don't know if any of you remember Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live, but he used to stand in front of a mirror with his tacky cardigan sweater on and say, "You're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you." Tell yourself that every day. You're a good person, and this is going to, yes to Stuart Smalley. There you go. Doggone it, people like you. I love it. But it's really easy to get caught up in the negative self-talk. Oh, I'm never going to get another job. I can't do this. No one's going to hire me. Those sorts of things. You have to overcome that with some positive self-talk. This whole thing is not your fault. Tell yourself that every day. Coronavirus is not your fault. Maybe you'll even find a better job, a better career. Or tell yourself you're capable of meeting this challenge. We are. We're all capable of meeting this challenge. I'm a good person, and good things are going to happen for me. So tell yourself that other day. So put in the chat box, what are some things, what are some ideas? Exercise, we already saw that. What are some of the things that you do to make yourself feel better about this, overcoming the job loss? What helps you feel better throughout your day? Just chuck something in the chat box for us. Give us some new ideas of things we can do. Is that don't watch the news? Yeah, don't watch the news. That will never help get a good attitude. Connecting with friends. weather permitting, go for a walk. We had a beautiful rainfall in Duluth yesterday, just a nice soaker, which was wonderful. Yep, flowers, gardening, those are all great ideas. So I encourage everyone to look at those, come up with a new idea, something you can do, even volunteering. It's on my list, I forgot to talk about it. You never know who you're going to be standing next to when you're deadheading flowers at the rose garden. You never know who you're going to be standing next to when you are packing backpacks for kids, or I signed up to be a election judge. You never know who you're going to run into when you're out volunteering. Now, of course, if you're on unemployment, you have to be careful how much you volunteer. You can't volunteer 40 hours a week and still be available for work. So be careful with that, but it's a great opportunity, A, get out of the house, and B, talk to other people. You never know, it may be the HR person from the absolute wonderful company that you want to go work for. You're making a connection, okay? Humor, journaling, meditating, walks in the park. That's awesome. Don't forget to breathe. Breathing is always good. Getting lots of sleep, lots of good sleep will make you feel better. So all of those things are wonderful. But staying positive is critical. So in order for some of your game plan moving forward, maybe you want to address, assess yourself. And in the packet that you're going to get at the end is going to be something called My Career Search Plan, and it will ask you some of these questions as well. So you'll get a printout or you'll get a document. But I also encourage you to go online and do some of these online assessments. I mean, they're wonderful. Finding out what sort of personality you have so that you find a job that meets your personality, fits what you want to do. So you're going to want to go to work. Volunteering at the Science Museum. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So there are a variety of different interest assessments and skills assessments out there all over the place to find out what sort of personality you have. Are you realistic? You know, this one that I have in front of me, are you realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, conventional? Find out what kind of personality you have, what kind of skills you have based on the work that you've done in the past as well. And where those two things meet, I think is a beautiful connection because you've got the interest to do the job and you've got the skills to do the job. So I encourage you to do this. It's a good time to do some soul searching on what you want to do next, okay? So these are just some of the links that we recommend that you use to assess yourself. Of course, we encourage you to always use careerforcemn.com. And if you set up an account to do the interest and skills assessments, I believe it will still save your results and help you build some career goals, if you will. So using careerforcemn.com, My Skills, My Future is great to go in and do some of those things. Maybe it will also help you find some hidden talents that you didn't really realize you had because they ask you questions and you just hit a gut reaction answer on a scale. Do you like to install garbage disposals? Yes. Do you like to perform piano in front of people? Absolutely not. You know, and it will take all of those answers that you put and compile a list of jobs that might be a good fit for you based on your interests. Same thing with your skills. Can you install a garbage disposal? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it will print out a list or give you a list of things that might work for you as far as jobs that might be a good fit. Whenever I do that, it says I should be a farmer, but there really aren't very many farmer jobs. But what I think that does is it goes back to my childhood when I used to spend summers on my grandfather's farm, and I absolutely loved it. So whenever the taxes go up in Duluth, Minnesota, and my husband threatens to sell the house and move, I keep hoping that maybe we can get that hobby farm and I can get that little bit of a farm that is in my soul of what I would really love to do. That's the sort of things that it might bring out in you. What are those things deep down in your gut that you would really love to do? CareerWise at Minnesota State EDU is a great one. You can go and get some information. The DEED website there is the JobStat. It's a state site, and it will also help you get some labor market information on, are these jobs on the upswing? Are they sort of just staying on par, or are they really those jobs kind of going away? Because you really want to take that into consideration as well when you're doing your research. CareerStop.org and ONET Online are all great websites to go to. You will get this presentation emailed to you, so you'll have all these links so you don't feel like you have to write everything down. And if you did already write them down, I apologize, I didn't say that sooner. But it helps you to do your homework, to find out maybe what area to explore now that you've got some time to do it. And maybe find out what are the skills gaps that you need in order to get from your previous job to that next opportunity. Maybe you need to take a class or two, get a certification, get your CNA, get your CDL, and remember those are some of the things that we may be able to help you with during this time. Looking at the Coursera to see if there's courses that will help you to get into that next opportunity. But they're free courses, so be sure and do that. I believe the dates to register have been extended, but you'll want to be sure and double check that. And it will go into next year for the chance to take the courses. Either way, if you're going to stay in the occupation you're in before and that's all you want to do and you're just going to focus on that, that's great. It's comfortable and it's there as long as the jobs are still there. It's not for everyone. Not everyone can do that, so you may need to start a new career. And these are some great websites to look at. Going to careerforcemn.com, you're going to see this new tab up at the top called Online Tools, and that's going to help you look at those interest assessments, skills assessments. And then down below, it even, I think, talks about jobs in demand during COVID-19 and view occupations with the longer-term in-demand positions. So keep that information handy. Go to that website, check it out. Here's another one, just screenshots of some of those sites, My Skills, My Future. Enter in your current or past job, and it will come up with a list of things that kind of match what you did before with the skills that you needed to do this job. It will say, maybe you could do this too. So it's a fun way to just do a little bit more exploring on different occupations, if you will. So this is the JobStat. It stands for Job Skills Transfer Assessment Tool. So looking for an occupation in a certain cluster, if you will. So here we just opened up business and financial operations occupations. And then you can go in and you can explore. What does it mean to be an assessor? What do I have to do to be a real estate appraiser? Some of those different things. It's a great way to get some more information on different occupations that maybe popped up when you did your interest or skills assessment. That's the state of Minnesota site. Most of these are, or some of these I should say, are you're just going to find Minnesota and surrounding area occupations. If you are doing a nationwide search, there are other tools for that as well. But this is mostly just Minnesota information. So here we go. So preparing for the job hunt. We're going to just talk about, so that you understand the importance of being organized and keeping good records. Sheila is going to talk to us about SMART goals to help us stay on track and be accountable for what we're doing. Knowing the importance of researching. I think I will probably say research 100 times during this presentation. What and where to research is really important. And identifying just some of the key job search tools. We're going to talk about networking cards and a couple of other things as well. So here we go. So managing your schedule. So what you really need to do is remember that you're not just about the job search. Yeah, it's really important, but balancing your job search with other activities. Continue to stay connected with family and friends because that's going to help you stay the whole person that you are, okay? It can't just be hunkered down in your basement looking for work, okay? So manage your schedule. Balance your job search activities with others. Like I say, Sheila is going to talk to us about SMART goals on the next screen. But just talking about keeping good records is finding a system that works for you. Whether it's, now I'm going to date myself a little bit, but recipe cards in a file so that you can pull out information on certain employers if that works for you. So you can record all those contacts, all those people you've met, through all these different things you've been doing, through volunteering, through baseball games with your kids or grandkids, all these different things. You want to keep track of all of that stuff so that if you need them to make a connection for you or you want to thank them for a connection, you've got all that information. So keep it all together. You want to keep a detailed record of your work history so that when you fill out those applications online, you've got all of that in a system where you can either copy and paste it into an application or just refer to it on paper. It might be a 3-ring binder that you use to keep keep those good records, because you want to keep copies of the resumes you sent out, who you sent them to, how did you follow up with that, when are you going to follow up, who did you talk to, all of those things. You want to keep all this information. You also want to keep a copy of the job position that you applied for, because it may take a while before you hear back on that job. You want to, when that employer calls you, be able to quickly find, oh my gosh, what was that job I applied for with that company? I can't remember. I've applied for 30 jobs in the last month. What was that job? So you want to keep the job posting, whether it's on your computer or printed out, I don't care, whatever works for you, something you can access easily. You know, and then just have the supplies that you need there, including a phone charger, because you certainly don't want your phone to die in the middle of an informational interview or the time that you're setting up an interview. You don't want your phone to die, so be sure that that is always charged up and you have a charger nearby. This is all confusing. This is all a lot to deal with. But you might want to also, while you're doing this, because we're on our computers a lot, you might want to set up a different email address during your job search, something that's real professional. I see some real crazy ones coming through when I'm doing resume reviews and things like that. So it might be a good time, maybe if I were job searching, I might change my email from prettygrandma@yahoo.com to something a little bit more professional. When an email comes in from Pretty Grandma, that employer, that HR person does not know who is coming, who the email is coming from. But if it's got my name, they're going to easily make a connection of who they're talking to. So do whatever you need to do to stay connected, stay organized. Oh yeah, keep an updated list of usernames and passwords for each company that you apply for on their application site. You need to do that. So as much as we hate writing those things down, if you can save them in your computer, if you can save them on somewhere, but you want to be sure that you stay connected with that and have easy access to those application sites. So just keep good records, get organized, those things. So now I'm going to turn it over to Sheila to talk to us about SMART goals.
Well, I'm enjoying looking at all the comments and all the information being shared in the chat. Lots of good stuff going on there. Yeah, so Rhonda had mentioned SMART goals. So I just wanted to give you an example of what that would look like. And Michelle, even in the chat, had mentioned something about balancing job search activities. Well, this might be a tool that you could use to help you stay organized. So SMART goals, each letter is supposed to help you remember what you're doing when you're setting SMART goals. So we'll take a look at each one of those. So the S, specific, you want to look at exactly what you want to do. What is your goal? And when you set this goal, you want to make sure it is something that's realistic and you can accomplish, in a short period of time. If you make it too broad or unattainable, you're just going to give up. So make sure it's something that you can achieve. So in this example, our SMART goal is going to prepare a resume, and I see lots of chats going on about resumes in here. So how are you going to achieve that goal? What's going to keep you on track? You have to have something that you're going to measure your progress by. So in this instance, maybe you could say that you want to have a rough draft ready and present to, maybe a career counselor at a career force location in 10 days. Tell a friend what your goal is so they can keep you on track. Maybe they'll check in 5 days and say, hey, are you working on that resume? Are you going to have it ready for that career counselor? And then, is it achievable? What resources or services can you use to make sure you can achieve that goal? And in the case of the resume, there's a lot of great resources. Career Force offers a great virtual resume writing workshop. Take a look at that on the careerforcemn.com website and sign up for that. It's really great. You can ask for an online resume review. Those are also on careerforcemn.com. Do one of those skills assessments that Rhonda talked about. That will give you a lot of great ideas of what you can offer an employer and put on your resume. Of course, your job history, have that up to date and in front of you to use on your resume. I find that job descriptions from past jobs offer a lot of great information for your resume, and recommendation letters or performance reviews, those often kind of give you a good understanding of what your employer was looking at and how you perform those jobs. So those are some good ways to get information for your resume. And then relevant, why is this goal important in your job search? And like Rhonda said, we have a lot of online applications that we have to fill out, and oftentimes they want you to upload a resume for those. If you have a well-written resume ready to go, it relieves a lot of stress in your job search. People were talking about targeting their resume and changing it all the time for different jobs. Yes, you want to do that, and it can be a lot of work, but once you have a good base started, it's a little easier to go in and change it and target to that specific job. And then because you are targeting your job, you're going to have more one resume. And what people have a hard time with usually is those transferable skills. How can I show another employer how a skill I already have will benefit them? So that's another reason why you need to be working on your resume and why it's relevant for your job search. And then the T, timely. Have a definite goal date when you're going to finish. Use a specific date. Tell your friend that date, so if it comes up, they can check in with you and say, hey, Rhonda, did you finish that resume? Meet with the career counselor. So in this case, maybe you can say you are going to finish your resume 2 days after meeting with that career counselor. So you can take their feedback, apply it to your resume, and then have it ready to go. And if you follow these, you can have many, many SMART goals going on at the same time and make them manageable, and you can complete those along the way. You'll want to prioritize your goals based on what your needs are right now, help you return to work as soon as possible. And we provide you with the SMART goal worksheet in the follow-up materials. So you'll have this guide to kind of follow as you go along. And, if you're working on a goal and you're stuck and you need some help, type it in the chat, contact your local career force. Maybe someone there can talk with you and help you through some of those challenges that you're having. Okay, thanks, Rhonda. Back to you.
Thanks, Sheila. I appreciate that. So we're going to talk about researching. So here we go. So it's great to study a company's products and services that they provide so that you know what they do. I don't know that employers like it when you walk in for a job interview and you have no idea what they do there. You want to research the company's size, their history, their locations. Do you want to spend an hour on the road just to get to a job, or do you want something close to home so that you can get there right away? Do you want to work for a big company or a small operation? You know, what's their financial situation? What's their potential growth? Finding those things out. You can find some of that on your local, in your local newspaper, in the business section, press releases, things like that. Or reaching out to your network. Find out what their mission statement is or their philosophy within the company. My company philosophy story is that when I worked for a mega company down in the Twin Cities, their philosophy, that from top down, was we work 40 hours a week to stay on par with the competition. We work all weekend to get ahead. So one of my last weeks or months with that company, I found myself in the office on a Saturday as an absolute peon in human resources with my brand new baby in a stroller trying to get packets ready for the new people that were going to start work on Monday. Not the philosophy that I could do at the time with children. And so think about those sorts of things. What is their mission statement? One of the hospitals up here is the patient above all else. If you truly, if that resonates with you, you know, be sure that you mention that in your cover letter, those sorts of things, to make that connection. Recent changes or initiatives, maybe distance working, or what do they call it, virtual working, working from home, is something you really want to do, and that's what they really want, is work from home people. If you know you can't work from home, maybe that's not the job for you. So think about all these different things. Different human resource possibilities or policies might be in the summertime, you take a shorter lunch break or work 4 10-hour days and have some time off in the summer. What are their policies? The labor market information, again, are they a job on the increase? Are they going to be adding people? Are they going to be in growth mode or not? And of course, because this is not a hobby for any of us, what are the salary and benefits? You need to be sure that you're going to have that in place so that you know that you can make it on that job, that you've got a living wage with that job, or whatever you need from out of that next job. So those are some of the things that you should research about different companies, different philosophies, all those different things. Just do your research on the companies. Let's see. So where should you research? Going to company websites. The bigger companies, of course, will have a web presence. A smaller little manufacturing shop down the street may not. So you might need to do a little bit of exploring, if you will. Reading press releases that come out, again, in the newspaper. Well, I don't know if a lot of libraries are open at the moment. I know the Duluth Library is not. But when they do open up, or even online, going to, now I don't recall, Reference USA maybe, with a library card, you may be able to get a username and password and pull up a list of manufacturers within a certain zip code or something like that, and it will give you some information. So if your library is not open and the librarians can't help you, see what they've got to offer online. Again, using LinkedIn, if that works for you. I understand, however, if you're going to use LinkedIn, you need to really use it a lot. I set my account up years ago, and I haven't looked at it since, so I'm not sure if it's working for me or not. But you want to use it and access it every day to make it useful for you. Those career information websites we talked about previously, go to those things to find out about different companies, different occupations, and even having an informational, call it informational interview or a conversation with that employer. When I used to own a travel agency in town, whenever someone would call up and the first thing out of their mouth was, "Are you hiring?" I would say no and hang up as quick as I could, because that was not a nice approach. But if someone called up and said, "I would really like to know, what do you do at a travel agency? Can I come in and talk to you and see what this is all about, see if it's something I want to do?" I'd be more than happy to give them 15 minutes. So if there's something out there that you want to investigate, see if it's the kind of company you'd want to work for, if they provide products and services that you really believe in and you want to be part of it, just call up and see if you can get 10 or 15 minutes of their time. Remember, it's a conversation. It's not a job interview. You're there for information. If it is something that goes well and you really are interested, maybe you follow up with a resume with a note that says, I really like what you folks do there. Here's my resume in case anything in my area should open up. Please let me know, something like that. Obviously, talking to folks in your network that work at companies that you're interested in. What is it like to work there? Are they laying people off? Are they hiring? Are they, finding out all those different sorts of things with that company. And of course, calling us up, calling your local career force location. We have employers calling us all the time looking for people. And so we stay connected with employers as much as we possibly can. So researching before you go talk to somebody is huge so that you can walk in there to talk to them with the confidence that you know what they're doing, what they're all about. So here's just an example of something you can do if you'd like. It can be as inexpensive as you want. You can print them out yourself. You can go to the local Office Max store and get perforated cards that you print on. But it's nice to have something you can hand to somebody that you meet on the street or at the market or as a volunteering opportunity. Give them your name and phone number, your good contact information. You can go to somebody that said it online, Vistaprint. Yep, exactly, Vistaprint. You can get a whole bunch of cards printed up for very little money. But it's nice to have something that you can hand to someone. And oftentimes they give you a card in exchange, so now you've got permission, unwritten rule, to call them whenever you need their help or you have questions about their company. Of course, be sure that if you're going to put more information than what you see on the screen, you proof it really well. You don't want to be the one that says you are able to work independently when you really meant, or no, I did that backwards. You don't want to be the one that says on the card that you're able to work indecently when you really meant independently. So be sure that you proof it. So hand them out to people and give them, 2 or 3 so that they can hand them out to other people as well that can help you in your job search. Here's a sample of, you can print on the back if you'd like to, if you're really honing in on just one operation, or if you just want to put on some of your great transferable skills that could go to many different occupations. So you can print on the back as well. And even if you go to an Office Max and get business card stock, you can get one that is perfed in such a way that you can print on the front and the back. So if that's helpful to you, be sure and do that as well. So I think in one of the upcoming sessions, look at you guys are getting all sorts of help on LinkedIn, which is awesome. Thank you. In one of the upcoming sessions, you will talk more about portfolios, but what this is just a nice binder that you can have with your materials in it. Now, they don't want you to go back to kindergarten and show them your perfect attendance award, which I am very proud of, but apparently employers don't care about that at this point in our job search. But a quality binder that you can have all those awards, recognitions, certifications. If you go onto Coursera and take some classes, maybe there are some certifications you can take. Print those off on nice paper in color if you can, and put those in your binder. Put those in your portfolio. They are either, you can have either a printed portfolio or there is an online presence that you can offer up as well. But again, you will get that information in one of the upcoming job club presentations. So I won't go into that any further. Now, when you know the kind of company you want to look for, you know the places you're going to apply for positions, this is the time you start noodling about who do you want to be your references. You want to choose them carefully. Even someone in the industry that can, when they get that call, they can say, yes, Rhonda would be great in that position. Because when we worked together in a previous situation, she did that similar kind of work and excelled at it. You want someone who can say something good about you and can make that connection that, yes, you will be able to do this job. Now, sometimes, of course, previous employers can only say, confirm your name, the salary, and the job title. when you worked there. Maybe that can be. So if you find other people that can actually talk about you and speak objectively about you, those are really great references. The people that you don't get along with and you didn't get along with at work, maybe they won't be your best references. So really think about who would be good for you. And avoiding references that may be controversial, maybe not using the head of your local National Rifle Association as a reference. If you're going to, if that's one of the people in your circle, unless you're going to go apply for a job at Gander Outdoors in the gun department, then they'd be perfect. So think about who you're going to use as your references. People you used to work with, even clients that you had a good experience with, vendors that used to come in and you had great experience with them and you worked together well. Think of all of the people that are in your circle that you could use. Obviously, you're going to want to ask permission. Hey, can I use your name and phone number? Or what's the best way for someone to reach you, phone or email? I once had a former employer that I wanted to use as a reference, and he said, well, you know, it's going back to the same thing. I can only confirm this, this, and this. He said, have them use my cell phone, and I'll walk out of the office so that I can talk to you about your skills, that sort of thing, too. So be sure that you get the good contact information. Let them know when you're going to use their name. You don't want to just throw their names out when you apply for a position, because once you have done the interview, that may be when you decide who you use for your references, because you want to use people that can really speak directly to that job. You're going to want to send your references your resume, so they know everything about you, what you've sent to the employer. You may also want to send them the job description or the job posting of what you're applying for, so that they can speak to that as well and maybe make yet another connection for you. Don't forget to thank them when you use their name. If they helped you get that job, oh my gosh, that's worth gold. So be sure to thank them. They're taking the time and putting their name out there on your behalf. So be sure to thank them every time you do that. And as far as getting their contact information, make sure that you do get that before they go, because if they're going to be gone for 2 weeks and all you have is their home phone number up in Grand Marais, you want to be sure that you get a cell phone number or don't use them as a reference. So that's critical, okay? Always thank them. I think we're going to end up right on time. So going through the review of what we talked about is just recovering from that job loss. What do you need to do to face the challenge every day? Every day is going to be different. Remember the roller coaster? Every day is going to be different. But you can take care of that. You can control that with your great positive attitude. Developing your game plan, getting organized, staying organized, setting up those SMART goals that Sheila talked about, doing research, and then gathering your tools that you need. So I think that Sheila mentioned what's coming up next. I think that she answered a bunch of the questions that came through the chat box. If you do have other questions, we'll leave it open for a little while we wrap things up here. But thank you for coming. We really, really appreciate that. Good luck to everyone. And you will be getting an email with the follow-up materials, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. So keep your eye open for that. Good luck. And again, reach out to your local Career Force location for assistance. Take care, everyone.
I'll just remind everybody that the recorded version of this workshop will be on careerforcemn.com in the near future. And if we didn't answer your questions in the chat, we will review those and send out answers in the follow-up email that you will get tomorrow. And if you have questions, keep putting them in the chat. We'll take a look at it. Thank you for attending, and maybe we'll see you online next week, or someone will see you online next week. Have a good day.